As a group of 20 developed countries, the G20 members are not on track to achieve either their original or a new 2030 pledges. 10 G20 members are on a track to achieve their previous NDC, while 7 are off the track. The aggregate impact of the new or updated NDC submission for the non-G20 members is an annual reduction of 0.8 gigaton carbon dioxide emission by 2030. While considering the impact of new pledge, and it should be noted that collectively the G20 members are not yet to achieve their previous NDC. If the current policy projections are used for those countries where policy projections are lower than what NDCs would deliver, the G20 members as a groups are projected to fall short of achieving their unconditional NDC by 1.1 gigaton carbon dioxide emission annually. Many countries have increased their emissions. Many countries able to pledge, able to maintain the pledge. They have reduced the emission. Greenhouse effect has been mitigated substantially, and that effect we can see in the global atmosphere, the global warming scenario, and the impact of this pledge and the overall impact of many countries are bit of concern for those who are estimated that the future of environment for the next 10 years will
probability
be very critical,
of reaching a target. Probability of reaching a target. Probability of reaching a target. Acquisition on target. Acquisition on target. Acquisition on target.
1.5 degrees centigrade within the next 10 years. Only 10 G20 members of Argentina, China, European Union of 27 group of nations, India, Japan, Russian Federation, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, Turkey and UK are likely to achieve their annual original unconditional NDC target under the current policies. Among them, only 3 members, India, Russia and Turkey, are projected to reduce their emission to level at least 15% lower than their previous unconditional NDC emission target under the current policy, and indicating that these countries have a significant room for raising their NDC ambition. As 30th September 2021, India and Turkey have not yet submitted a new or updated NDC, while the Russian Federation has submitted a new NDC that reduced the emission but still result in higher emission than implied by the current policy. Australia, Brazil, Canada, Mexico, Republic of Korea and the USA are all assessed to acquire stronger policy to achieve prior NDC, while there is insufficient information to assess the progress of Indonesia. Few countries are involved in that policies to maintain the earlier pledge and guidelines. Globally, 51 countries and one party of group of 27 European Union, to addition to the net zero pledge made by its individual members and the emission target that is stated in the national legislation in a policy document or in a public announcement by the government or a high-level government officials. The G20 members have adopted a range of policies in the recent years. While there are many positive developments, these are also negative examples such as fossil fuels extractions project and coal-fired power plant construction plans that moving forward, as well as the rollback of environmental regulation during this pandemic. Based on the central estimate of these independent studies, the large number of G20 members, including Argentina, Brazil, China, India, Indonesia, Mexico, and some Saudi Arabia or maybe Russia, are expected to emit more in 2030 under implemented policies than they did in the last decades. Collectively, these G20 members are projected to fall short of their new and updated unconditional NDC, and their announced their mitigation pledges for 2030, and this is to be expected, and it would indicate a lack of enhanced ambition if the new 2030 pledge were projected to be achieved with currently implemented policies. It is worth noting that Canada and US have submitted strengthen the NDC target, while independent studies suggest that they are not to track to meet their previous NDC target with currently implemented policies. The promising development is the announcement of long-term net zero emission pledge by 52 parties covering more than half of their global emissions. However, these pledges shows large ambiguities, and these are the condition of net zero emission, where the sum of all the emission and removal is basically resulted in zero. These targets are being defined by variety of ways. The most important aspect from a global geophysical perspective being whether they cover all greenhouse gases or carbon dioxide only. Few of the G20 members NDC target put the emission on a clear path towards net zero pledges, and there is an urgent need to back those pledges up with near-term target and action that give confidence that net zero emissions can ultimately be achieved and the remaining carbon budget kept in mind. And 12 G20 members covering just over half of the global domestic greenhouse gas emissions that have currently pledged a net zero target, of which 6 are in the law, 2 are in the policy document, and 4 are the government announcement. All of the year 2050, the exception of China's 2060 target of net zero emission and Germany's target of 2045, the remaining 8 G20 members have so far not set a net zero target yet, but 3 of them have communicated long-term low greenhouse gas emission development strategy to the United Nations organ. That's Indonesia, Mexico, and South Africa. These pledges also show those ambiguity that the most targets are unclear or undecided on the inclusion of offsets of international aviation and the shipping emissions. Lack of clarity is also notable on coverage of sectors and classes, but pledges that are clear show the near-term targets are critical to set those global emissions on a clear path towards achieving a long-term net zero target and the climate goal. The NDC set emissions approximately on a linear path towards achieving the net zero target, and the NDC reduced the emission further than implied by a near path towards the net zero target, and cumulative emission are further reduced compared to a linear path. That emission in delayed, unlike the accelerated condition, in case of delayed, it reduces the emission more slowly than implied by a linear path towards the net zero target, and cumulative emission and resulting a global warming are higher compared to a linear path. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.